All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Ask an Event Pro. It's your host, Francisco Almendarez, product evangelist at Events.com. With me today, we've got Brian Crispin. He is the Director of Marketing for the Wheeler Mission. Wheeler Mission is a company that is supporting the homeless, and they put on some huge events for fundraising and charity. Events such as the Drumstick Dash, which is now one of the biggest events in the nation, second biggest event in the nation on Thanksgiving. Somewhere around 19,000 runners. Other events such as the Strength in Our Streets, and the 100 Holes for the Homeless. So they're doing some amazing things, pairing event management and fundraising to be able to help those in need. Brian, thank you so much for your time and welcome.
Yeah, welcome, or thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So Brian, we're going to have you here for just a few minutes. We're going to start with a few quick questions, and then we'll get a little bit more detail on how you are managing fundraising these events, and also some tips and tricks for those that are eager to learn a little bit about the big events that you work with, and how do you make it so successful. So we'll start with a quick question, Brian, if you don't mind. What are 5 essentials that you keep on your bag on event day?
Yeah, sure. So one that I know everybody has on them, but is imperative that you use it, is a phone. And so, as a director of marketing for the mission, it's important that not only the people that come to our events, but the people that don't come get to see what's going on. And so taking those pictures where you are, getting to the images of what's going on in front of you at the event, and sharing that through your social media pages is important. We want to build long-term success at our events. So the people that couldn't come or didn't come, chose not to, we want to build that anticipation that, hey, I want to go to that. That's something I want to be at. Those people look like they're having a lot of fun. That looks like something that's a big cause. And so, just making sure you use your phone to activate and make sure we put stuff on social media. The other one, as we got bigger, we have a pretty good team here at Wheeler Mission that puts on the event, a larger team, and so we use online tools, digital tools. Started using some software called Basecamp, and it's a way for us to put all of our documents in one place, whether it be to-do lists for the day of, some of our sponsor documents, so we know that what the sponsors are expecting or what we need to do for them. We put that online, and then we can access that from anywhere at any time, whether it be on a phone, a tablet, a computer. So we don't have to have all this paper on us to make sure we're fumbling through all that. So that's been very helpful for our team to stay in good communication. Also, walkie-talkies, obviously, something that we have good systems that you can rely on, and making sure that we're in good communication not only with our team but with our volunteers, or with some of the people in key areas of the race that you won't see on race day, but if they need to get a hold of us because they're out of trash bags, or something didn't show up to their location, that they can easily get a hold of us. And so then the other one is a coat, because our event, our Drumstick Dash, is in November and Thanksgiving, and it's freezing cold here in Indy usually. This year was a little different, but a coat and a good Starbucks coffee. We have Starbucks is a big sponsor of ours, and first thing I do in the morning on race day on Thanksgiving is stop by there, and they give our whole team custom drinks for us to make sure we start the day off right. So
That's awesome. Hopefully you don't put the cup in the bag, though.
No, we don't put the cup in the bag. We don't do that, but it certainly goes down quick at 4 or 5 in the morning.
That's awesome. Well, I was actually up in Seattle over the break, and I was working a lot from Starbucks, so great sponsor to have.
Yes, yeah, they've been very generous to us and do a lot of advertising in their stores too. So they're a big help to our mission.
That's fantastic. Now, Brian, I understand. Maybe our audience, we should explain a little bit more that you, in the audience, may be used to going to some endurance events, races, or other types of events that are supporting a specific charity. The mission is a little bit different. You are the charity that is putting on the event. Maybe you can talk to us a little bit more about that, Brian, and also how do you encourage fundraising to happen before and after, and even during the registration for the events?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we are a homeless shelter. We've been around since 1893, and we are Indiana's largest and oldest operating homeless shelter. We have programs for people in addiction, recovery. So we serve anywhere from 300 to 500 people a night. We don't take any government funds, and our annual budget for our 8 locations is around $8 million. So we started events to help us to fundraise for that cost. And so the Drumstick Dash was one that we started on Thanksgiving Day 13 years ago to help as an annual fundraiser. And so yeah, a lot of the, especially in the endurance industry, a lot of events have charities that they're attached to. You almost have to have a charity nowadays for the community to accept your race in their town. But we are the charity, so 100% of every dollar that we raise goes straight into the mission and helps us to provide food, shelter, care for the homeless right here in our city. And so, as a charity who has a strong name in the community, been around for that long, 123 years, people love to help, but sometimes they don't know how to help the homeless. And so when we started an event like the Drumstick Dash or some of the other events we do, the idea was, let's do something where people can do something tangible to help, and it will involve what they like to do. And so people love to run. The running industry was really catching fire around the time we started this. There was no other races on Thanksgiving Day when we started the Drumstick Dash, and so we gave people a chance on a very important day for helping for Thanksgiving, where it's going to help their family, and hey, people out there that don't have their family, how do we help? We give them a way to help, and they could go and everything they did for the registration fee, raising will help the homeless. And so that ties in everything. That was what really drove our success of this event to grow as it has. We started with 1,300 people on 2003, and now this year we had 19,295 people. And so the event has grown substantially. We were up 23% from last year. And a lot of that is just tying in through all of our advertising, all of our promotions. This is a really, really fun thing to do, but this has great impact. So we share a lot of stories, a lot of testimonies of people that have come through our mission, that have come in literally on death's doorstep with drug addiction or homeless in the darkest time in their life. And now, because of work that people did, like running the Drumstick Dash, these people now have a shot in the society and are doing good things in the society. So sharing those stories is important. So when that happened, not only did people want to do this event, but corporate sponsors wanted to be a part of it, not only just to write checks to it to be a sponsor, but to get their employees engaged, to tell people in the community through their advertising that, hey, we're a part of this event that helps the homeless on this day. So that drives a lot of our advertising, is what our sponsors do. And then, not only do people want to just register for the event and pay their $30 or $35, whatever it may be, they wanted to do some more. So we work with CrowdRise to do event fundraising, and we provide an easy way for people to do peer-to-peer fundraising. So all that collectively with the sponsors on board, we have 45 different sponsors that are now on board raising money. The fundraising from peer-to-peer, registration costs, we were able to, for the first time this year, raise over $1 million to help the homeless. And so that's a huge impact on a small homeless shelter like Wheeler Mission.
That's fantastic. It's very interesting. You mentioned 45 different sponsors that you have right now. Maybe you can talk to us a little about what fundraising looks like through these sponsors?
Sure. So a lot of our sponsors started out when we were young. A lot of them were in-kind sponsors, with providing bananas or water. And then we've grown that. So again, they're giving us a lot of their marketing dollars, whether it be doing TV advertising. They like to align their mission with our mission, and some prime spots on TV stations, media sponsors as well, getting not only their brand involved, but their local celebrities involved. So we have 25 local celebrities that are mainly TV anchors and such that we do a celebrity run out in front of our race. So they're doing a lot of social media advertising, a lot of tweeting and such, as well as doing on-air advertising for us as they're doing the Drumstick Dash weather. They're really embracing this as showing that, hey, I'm a part of this thing too, whether it be from a big company all the way down to the person that's there. And so whether it be the advertising or doing event fundraising. These companies are engaged in our CrowdRise fundraising, doing raising extra dollars for the mission. Obviously, there's sponsor fees that add up to large chunks of money, and then also the other thing is all of that in the community, this noise that local retail companies are giving, banks that are giving, obviously the media sponsors, drives fundraising for the mission itself. So people that wouldn't go run, people that wouldn't necessarily do an event like an endurance event, or some of our Strength in Our Streets, which is a CrossFit event, or 100 Holes for the Homeless is a golf marathon. They see the need at the mission and the people that are being impacted by these events, and they say, well, I can't do that, but where can I help? And so these people are rallying them to being notified of the need at a shelter like ours, and they can go on and donate or volunteer. And so that drives our mission. And for the Drumstick Dash to happen during the holiday season, and the empathy that goes along with the poor around the holiday season, our donations have skyrocketed to the point where it really carries us through the rest of the year. And so it's a vital time. We can't measure all of it. But it's a huge impact to the point where the governor's there and everyone else has embraced this event.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Brian. And I really want to congratulate you for what you guys are doing and the impact that you're able to have with a lot of the homeless and the people in need. Recently there's been a lot of skepticism from runners and endurance event goers about how much impact are these fundraising events really having on a particular community. Obviously, the Wheeler mission is a great example of a very successful approach, and also really creating a big impact in the community. For those that don't know, for example, I understand 83% of the expenses from the mission are geared towards programs.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is very important to keep your integrity up in the community. People want to know that their money is not being used for things that they're not expecting it to be. And so there are costs. There are a lot of costs, and sponsors help keep those costs down. But yeah, it's very important that your dollars go to help people and not building buildings per se.
Absolutely. Now that said, maybe you can share with us a little bit about how do you share the impact with the community after an event?
Absolutely. Obviously, the easiest one is through social media. We used to run all of our event social media and messaging through our missions social media. We've since separated that to make sure that we're not doing a lot of playful messaging on a homeless shelter site, but we balance the two of those. So we are providing testimonies of people whose lives are changed in the event arena. To the point where we even have guys that have gone through our program running inside the event that at one point were actually guests of ours, and now they're actually working to help other people to help the homeless alongside of them. So we share those stories. We work side by side with the media. The media does stories at our mission before the event. They come down and do testimonies about people that are going through our programs and make sure that those stories are being told. And so we embrace the media, we befriend them, and we certainly want them telling that story. It's very important.
Absolutely. Very fantastic. Now, being the very successful, fundraising, charity-focused event company that you are, I have to imagine there's a lot of copycat events. How do you deal with the copycat events?
Yeah, so when we started Drumstick Dash, there were no other Thanksgiving Day races in Indianapolis. And locally we've had to protect that, and that hasn't happened. Drumstick Dash is popping up here. Excuse me. But they have popped up around the country. And so, we license the event, and we make sure we call those people when we're checking on Google to see if there's any Drumstick Dash popping up. And we've done cease and desist to make sure we protect our brand, because we want the Drumstick Dash to be synonymous with helping the homeless. And so we've actually licensed 6 other Drumstick Dashes around the country. And so they're in Roanoke, Virginia, 13,000 person race in Roanoke. They're in Evansville, Indiana. And so they're all over the country now. And they're all protected, and they use our logo. And we actually provide the shirts for some of them. And so we protect that name. And then locally here, there's now 6 other races that are competing with us on race day. They're all pretty small, but they add up to about 5,000 or 6,000 people that are running
Right.
in our areas that we draw people from. And so, our goal with that was to, to embrace them as small events. Some people like small events. Some people don't like the big 19,000 person event. But our goal was for people not to choose other events in town just because parking was easier, or because it's closer to them. So the way that we attacked that was to make sure our event was the strongest event it could possibly be, and so we ramped up the experience. Excuse me, I'm gonna take a drink real
Yes.
quick.
Starbucks.
Yeah, absolutely. We got the sponsor recognition.
Yeah.
So we added things like live concerts. We added things like more goodies for people post race. Making sure that their experience was the best it could possibly be. We added selfie stations along the course. We did things like costume contests to make sure the atmosphere was as fun as possible. Doing things like the celebrity race, making sure people just had the experience of a lifetime by the time they left our race. And so once you're done with that and you realize that, today I helped the homeless in a very tangible way, like you're not going to go to a small event just because parking is easier. And so it was very vital for us to make sure we didn't just do status quo, but we really ramped up the experience.
Absolutely. People like to feel like they're actually helping, like you said, if it's tangible, if they can sense what their impact is doing, what their involvement is doing toward the impact. That's absolutely amazing. Now, again, all of the events that you put on, extremely successful. You help so many in need. But I have to assume after since 2003 that you've been putting on these type of big events. At some point, some mistakes were made.
Sure.
So would love to hear what's the biggest mistake that could happen on race day that you'd like our audience to hear.
Yeah, and again, it's promising things that you're going to do to make that experience great, and then not performing. So saying that everybody's going to get a shirt, and then running out of shirts is one thing that we messed up on. Actually happened this year, and so we had a 23% increase. We wanted to make sure we have Brooks on as our sponsor. We provide a really nice Brooks Tech shirt to the first 17,000 people, and so we actually sold out of shirts early. And through performance at the expo and passing out shirts, there were some people that did not get it. And so as much as we promised them that they would get that, some didn't. And so that's something is promising something and then people don't receive what their expectations are. The other thing a few years ago is we had another big jump in our attendees, and our race started a few minutes late. And that's something that cannot happen, is starting your race late. Could have been the kiss of death, but again, I think where we survived that was tying our brand in so closely with the mission that people were able to forgive some of that and say, you know what, I just love to help the homeless, and they look past some of those small things. Because we are still a homeless shelter running a fundraiser, even though it's this big 19,000 person event. It looks like some big national event. We're still a local homeless shelter that runs shelters that are doing a fundraiser. And so people look past some of those small things, but that's it, is when you promise and promise and promise and they get there and it's not what you said it would be, that's the biggest mistake you can make.
Absolutely. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. With us today, we had Brian Crispin. He's the marketing director for the Wheeler Mission, and they are the best example of how a community can get together and really cause an impact in helping those in need. Brian, I want to thank you for your time, and I hope that we have you in our show again soon in the near future.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. My pleasure, Brian. Bye-bye, everyone.